Hello and welcome to Truckers World for another video. Hope everyone's doing okay out there. As you can see, I'm not in the wagon, in the bedroom. However, I have been in a wagon today. I've done a Class 1 assessment today. And that's what today's video is all about. I'm going to explain to you what I did, what happened, basically just give you a review, basically, of an assessment. So, the assessment I did was with a Class 1. And it was with a big courier firm. You will know them. I've done a lot of work for them in the past. Drive a lot of blue wagons. I'll leave it at that. You might know what that is. Okay, so the place where I was going to was near to where I work, actually within Warrington area. That's all I'll say. And so I went down there. This was by an agency. And apparently this company just use agency from what I believe. I don't know if that's 100% true, but from what I've been told, they just use agency. It's crazy that, isn't it? Who would have thought a big distribution company like that just use nothing but agency? So, gets there, 8 o'clock. Traffic was a bit bad this morning, a little bit of rain. And first of all, you always see another driver in there. You know, they must be doing assessments all the time because every time I've been there, because I sometimes do drop-offs there, you see drivers doing assessments. So you do a little bit of a test first, nothing too difficult. Just make sure you know all your taco rules, all about you obviously knowing, you know, how many times a week you can extend your driving, weekly rest periods, that kind of thing. You know, not too difficult. Just make sure you read up on that though if you do go for an assessment, because you do get tested, even if it's not within your job scope now. Just read up on that. So after that, meet my assessor. He was fine. Everything's fine. Okay. Takes my cards, makes copies, and then we walk then to the wagon. I'd say up to this point, probably about a good half an hour, you know, doing all the red tape and whatnot. Went to this Iveco wagon. I've driven an Iveco before. Not my favourite wagons, if I'm honest, but this one's quite a nice one from the outside. It explains a lot of the controls. Some of them I wasn't too familiar with, but we go through all that. And then he explains, obviously, vehicle checks. You know, we explains to me, right, this is the tick sheet which you go through. Told me, you know, ask me how do you check your back tyres, you know, that kind of thing. We do a bit of a walk around check, nothing too difficult. Again, very basic, very run of the mill kind of stuff. Then he explains, right, what we'll do, we'll hook up to a trailer and we'll go out. Now, I personally would have rather have had the reverse first, because that's where a lot of people fail on. You know, the driving's fine, it's reverse that obviously you need a bit of work on. Now, bear in mind, I've only been past probably 2.5 months. And I've had experience. If you've watched my channel, you know I've had a little bit of experience, but it's not been a solid 2.5 months experience. So really, I'd have liked to have had that reverse done first and got it out of the way, whether I pass, fail, whatever. Anyway, we go to the trailer and we go through the procedure of hooking up. Now, he tells me a little bit briefly, you know, make sure I know what I'm doing. He more or less asks the question. So he said to me, right, do you know what to do when you're hooking up? You know, the run of the order. And I went through the run of the order. Yeah, that's fine. Blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he's a fine guy, to be fair. He's not too bad. Very stickler for the rules, but I guess that's what assessors do. So I lined the vehicle up, the tractor unit, and I'm always a little bit off at the minute. I'm still, you know, it's a funny thing, getting exactly online. But I wasn't too bad, you know. Went forward again, come back, I was online. And he tells me now, rather than going under, normally, as a Class 1 driver, you know, you'll go under, you'll hear the click, and that's what you do. But on this occasion, he tells me a different order to do it in, and I was a little bit unfamiliar, really. You know, so he said, don't go anywhere too close to the trailer. Have a walk, you know, switch off the engine, have a look round it, do your checks, etc. And then what we're going to do, we're going to lower the tractor unit right down to the bottom, drive under enough where the fifth wheel is just about under the trailer. Then you're going to raise the trailer up, then you're going to go back. Basically, that's how it would go. And he told me this. I was a bit unfamiliar and a little bit kind of lost territory there, thinking, okay, fair enough, that's understandable. If that's the way they want to do it, that's fine. But, you know, it threw me off a little bit, to be fair. Anyway, cut a long story short, we did that and it was fine. And we did all the checks. Everything was all good there. Okay. So then we preparing to go on the road. Off we went, through the gates, etc. Just told me a couple of the site rules. Again, when you're on an assessment, especially as a new pass, you almost feel like you're doing your test again. Without a doubt, felt a lot of eyes were on you and stuff like that. A lot of new things coming at you all the way about their routines. It doesn't help the situation. It really doesn't help. We drive away, and then obviously now it's all about conserving fuel. They have their electronics within the tractor unit. I've driven them before in class 2. I think they're called cinematics, something like that. And it monitors your basically harsh braking, harsh accelerating. Basically, you've got to drive really smooth, nothing that's going to waste extra gas kind of thing. And that's fine. I get that. But this really went like way beyond that. I understand about harsh braking, harsh accelerating. He was basically educating me, obviously, to use a retarder rather than the brake, to coast along, build up your speed, then let it go again, coasting along, that kind of thing. With what he was saying was probably absolutely 100% right. It did conserve fuel. It helped without a shadow. However, on an assessment, it was a lot of information to grasp. I was looking at the road, looking at the signs, trying to drive carefully, driving around mirrors. Then he's telling me, use your retarder, use this, let it coast along, build up your speed. There was a lot of information coming at me. There was no doubt about it, and like I say, I was under stress, I was under a bit of pressure, wasn't ideal. Let me put it that way. It wasn't ideal, without a doubt. The drive, though, went okay. Like I said, I felt very much like I was on my lessons again, on my test. I drove very smoothly. I do drive carefully, generally speaking. I don't speed. I like to drive just nice and easy. That's just nice and chilled out driving. Why wouldn't you want to drive that way? So I am that kind of a natural that way driver anyway. But yeah, I felt very much kind of monitored and a little bit stressed, going through there, almost like I say, on my test. So we went then to the station, showed me how to fill up with gas. I kind of know how to do it, but obviously I've only done it once. And then he took over for a little while and he showed me obviously how you can conserve fuel and how you're supposed to drive. And obviously he's using those retarders up and down really quickly, and it does make sense, yeah, it does, but it takes a bit of getting used to do that, without a shadow. But anyway, gets back to the yard and he was quite happy with what I did. Then it came to the reverse. Oh yeah. So we goes into the yard, and at first he's told me, how do you feel about reversing into there? And it was like the standard thin parking bay without the yellow blocks at the end, without any gaps, 2 trailers, one on either side of the parking bay. And I said to him, I might struggle with that one. That's really tight. They want, usually get a bit of a gap, between a little, so you get the bay, you get a little bit of a gap, then the trailer on the next one. Fair enough. This one was like, there's no way I'm going to get that in there so easy. After only 2.5 months, a handful of reverses, not gonna happen. So he drove me further down the line. He said, right, well, we'll try this one then. This one wasn't too bad. Again, 2 trailers either side of the parking bay, but there was a little bit of room, was acceptable, I guess. But I still felt a bit nervous, about doing it, if I'm honest. So he told me, he's in the passenger side, and he's telling me, right, okay, come up here, turn left, turn right, get you some position, and he talks me through doing it. When I'd done it, he was outside the cab at this rate, but he was talking to me on this first occasion, talking me through it. It was fine, and it wasn't too bad. And he said, right, you're going to turn around again, you're going to do it again this time, and I'm, limited information. So we did it again. Or I did it again. He was outside, and he was telling me a little bit here and there. Not as much information this time, but still a little bit of information given, to do the manoeuvre. And yes, I was understeering, sometimes oversteering, wasn't too bad though. For me, I know my level, and I've come a long way since first starting, without a doubt. I felt it wasn't too bad. Yes, it wasn't a full manoeuvre without stoppage. It wasn't. Anyway, still seemed a little bit, not too happy. So I thought, right, one last go. Let's give it another go. Fair enough. And again, by this point, I was a bit nervous, sweating, a bit tired. This assessment had been like 2.5 hours up to this point. And we did it again, and the last one wasn't too bad, but again, I was a little bit understeering, a little bit oversteering, He never explained to me or never told me you could have some shunts. Now, I don't think that would have made a difference because, which I'll explain in a minute. There was a fair bit of room in front of me. And yes, I was oversteering a little bit, and then I'm to reverse a little bit on the blind side, which wasn't a problem, but I did feel that it was safe, It was a bit slow, obviously not as good as experienced guys, not all in one procedure, but I still feel that I got there. You know, it wasn't that bad. And I'm really being honest there. It really wasn't that bad. I was a little bit over, a little bit under, but I still got there. Anyway, we'll come to that in a minute. So then we did the uncoupling procedure, and he explained to me again, you know, the way they do it, which is fine, you know, that's fine. You can easily get grasps on that, and it does make sense. And he told me, really, your driving's fine, everything's fine that way. Your reverse, though, does need that little bit of work. He said you're almost there, but I think it'd be unfair to send you out because obviously in some of the yards you're not going to get that room in front. And that's what I personally believe what you needed to do. There was a lot of room in front to position yourself. Now, he obviously made you do it at an angle. There's every possibility with the room I had, you could have gone straight forward and literally reversed straight back. But he made me do it at an angle, that's fair enough. And he told me, obviously, that in some yards you won't get that luxury, and that if you know. So I kind of get that. So he said your reverse does need some work, and I can't kind of pass you in that regard. And I'm guessing it's because of that. I'm guessing that the reverse manoeuvre wasn't too difficult for an experienced driver, and he probably could have got that done all in one go. And that's probably what they're looking for, to get that all in one go. And that way, with the more difficult ones, you know, you should be able to handle it reasonably okay. I couldn't do that all in one go. It was a little bit this way, a little bit that way, but, you know, but it still wasn't that bad, in my opinion. Anyway, to cut long story short, we went to have the review, and because I kind of worked for that company already, they were prepared to say, right, well, if you transfer over to class 2 here for about 3 months, then we'll buddy you up with someone for 2 weeks, train you up, and then you'll do the assessment again. And that's fine. Now, I'm going to leave that there for now because I may have been offered a class 1 position somewhere else, but that's for another video. I'm going to leave that for now at this rate. So that was the long and short of it, that I didn't pass. Now, you can come back, and like I say, I think they would welcome me back because my driving was smooth, it was safe, everything was fine. It was just that reverse that just needs a little bit of work on. And I kind of agree, to be fair. If that's the angle they're coming from, I do agree. As far as the reverse manoeuvre goes, I think I probably did enough in most places to pass. You know, it was safe, it was, you know, it might have been a bit slow and not as smooth as the other guys, but it was safe, and that's the main thing. But I understand if you're going to be going to certain new areas and units, and it might be a bit difficult, then you need to probably get that one off straight away. Get that. That's fine. But there you go. That was my assessment. It wasn't too bad in the end. Overall, 3 hours, you know, it's a long time, really, to be fair. And I would say they were fairly strict. Not too strict. I think experienced drivers out there should be okay with it, if I'm honest. But for newbies, 2.5 months, like I said, just not enough. Just not enough. However, good news is coming, which I will explain to you in my next video. But I'm going to leave it at this. I was offered that to do 3 months class 2 and then transfer for a bit of training, 2 weeks class 1, and then do the assessment again. Or potentially I've been offered a class 1 position within the same company at a different depot, but doing nights. And I believe it's a no-brainer, but we'll come to that video later on. So I'm going to leave it there. It's a bit of a long video. I've tried to get in as much detail as I can within the time frame. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you get a lot out of it. One thing I am learning, and I'm going to end it here, is that as a new pass, and for you new passers out there, you need to learn the word patience, without a doubt. You know, when you look at jobs that you want to do, or companies you want to work for, you need to have a ladder and build those steps up to get to your end point, because I'm finding out it's so difficult where you want to work for a company or you want to do that type of work and you can't easily get on there, and you're trying to rush through this 2.5 months doing an assessment. Yeah, some people will pass, some people fail, like myself. You know, sometimes you just need to start off slow, getting the odd job here and there if you can. You know, if you have to wait for 6 months to get that time scale on your license, and do that. If you have to wait a year to get a year's kind of time on your time scale, and then start in like the summer where it's really busy, you know, you have to learn, I think, to wait and build up slowly to your end goals, because I don't think you can force this experience. You know, my experience, I'm getting better without a doubt. I can feel I'm getting better, but I'm still not there in reverse. Now, I kind of think of it, makes sense. It's only 2.5 months. I've not even been driving fully for 2.5 months. Just a handful of times, really, maybe 10 to 20 times. You know, it's not a great deal. So, yeah, I think learn the word patience. Just give it time. It's not the end of the world. you know, and that's what we need to do as new drivers. Anyway, enough ranting, all done, dusted. I'll see you next time for the next video, and thank you for watching.